your best. Classes include yoga, Pilates, Zumba, Dance Fit, bar, meditation, and Silver Foxes for active seniors. Join in and unwind with Wind Down Meditation Fridays. With over 40 years of combined instructor experience, you're always in good hands at UFitness. Visit us at 401 Oak Hill Road in Jasper. UFitness, where you fit in.
The sound of Walker County on 101.5 is WDXB HD3 Pelham, W286BM Jasper, an iHeartRadio station. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts. Free never sounded so good.
It's 9 o'clock and we're going live. This is Live at 9 on WJLX with James Phillips, presented by Young Jewelers in historic downtown Jasper. Real talk, real stories, right now.
And welcome in. It's a Wednesday morning, Live at 9 with James Phillips on the air here on WJLX. And this morning we've got a special guest. It is Tony Headrick. There he is. There's Tony. Owner of Green Top Barbecue. And you guys just had a big move into the old Lee's restaurant building. And sounds like things have been running wild ever since you guys moved in.
Yeah, first I'd like to thank, all of our great customers that's really came out, during this time. We've been more than blessed with the opening crowds and into this week. It's just been really just a tremendous thing. We've put a lot into the new building, and I think it's going to reap the rewards for us and the community in the future. Oh
yeah, I was actually in town the first day y'all were open because I was broadcasting a Bevel softball game, and I'd planned on going by there, but I don't think there was a spot for me all day that day.
Everybody's told us, well, you got a huge parking lot, and we've used about every inch of it since we've been there. I tell you.
And I appreciate y'all having Nick. Nick came and watched the show the other night. Greatest Average American. Greatest Average American.
Yeah, his mom had reached out to us. Yeah. About having a party, and that was our first one we hosted, and I thought it was really cool, especially having him there.
Yeah.
And ended up winning. Yeah. A little bit of money, so he seems like a super nice guy. It was the first time I'd met him. He knows my son-in-law, but that was just something awesome to have that night, to have that crowd to come in, and that was like kind of helped kick us off on that.
Yeah, I haven't asked him to borrow any money yet, but I'm going to before it's over.
I think I asked him if he was going to pick up everybody's check in there that night.
Right. He said he hadn't got his prize money yet.
That's right.
That's what Well, tell everybody a little bit about the move to the new building and what made y'all decide to go to Lee's and take it over.
When from our original location where we were at when we had the fire 4 years ago, it was, being there in Jefferson County at the time, when we had it, that was the only place that was wet.
Right.
That's a small percentage of our business, but it still is something that someone wants, and that's so we being there. So when we had the fire, the Gas and Water Board had a location for us.
Right.
They were tremendous to us in the years that we were there, but they have a new opportunity with that property now. But when we were looking for a place to go, whether we were going to refix the old building or move, but we were kind of. It's an older building. It's got a lot of repairs that needed to be done to it. So it was, and this building now gives us a little bit more flexibility on things that we can do. We can offer more things. We plan on in the future with it having like a banquet facility and a place for reunions, families, for caterings.
People
like
could have
that.
a wedding at Green Top.
We could have a wedding. I'm actually ordained minister to do a wedding.
See, there you go.
I mean, we can do it all at one-stop shopping. But we have, with this is an 8,000 square foot building. It is, we have more room in the kitchen than we've ever had, that we had in our old place. We're set up for more things that we can do. We're expanding our menu to some things where we did a lot of these things when we were in our original location, but it's made it harder to do. We couldn't do those things at the last place because it was so small.
Yeah, at the location there in the Dora Shopping Center, you just didn't have a lot of room for anything.
No, we didn't. We can our bathrooms are about as big as our kitchen now, and it's it was it served a purpose. It got us through, and we knew we were going to have to make this move, and we looked around on whether possibly the building costs right now were really high.
Yeah,
but we heard this opportunity to come up, and we reached out to Doug, and I think he was ready. He was ready to retire. It's been kind of a change for him. He actually said the first time I've ever had to pay for food in here. He come in one day and ate. But
it sounds like he was fishing for a free meal.
If I would have probably been slower and could have got to him, I probably would have got him at that time. It's offered a unique opportunity. We have a lot of things that my wife has acquired. That we do a lot of weddings and caterings now.
Yeah.
That already we have some things that we have a bunch of wedding things and extra stuff that we're going to be able to use to make the business to keep growing to another step with that.
Yeah. Now, any particular changes already on the menu that you've done?
This week we've started adding back. We've added some meat and three.
Yeah, I saw where you've got like the daily specials.
Yeah, we're starting to do the daily specials again. We didn't. We got into that this week, and yesterday it was. We had planned. We sold out. 4 or 5 o'clock yesterday evening. We had. It was a hit yesterday, and we're doing our chicken and dressing today that we're with it. That my grandmother's old recipe that we make it from scratch. And we feel that these little things like that will just add to complement our barbecue.
Oh yeah, definitely. Now it's hard for me to come in and get anything other than a barbecue sandwich and French fries and some ranch dip.
That's exactly that's the number one combo, as the guy says.
Because I'll come in and I want to get a bunch of other stuff, and then I think, no, this is what I'm here for.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. I'm here for the barbecue, and y'all. And most other places I go to get barbecue, I don't touch sauce, but I love y'all's sauce on a sandwich.
We have the unique sauce. It's my Uncle Preston. He comes down, and every time he comes in, he says, "You just can't get this anywhere."
You
can't, and that's what and it's
I guess it's a little more tangy than it is sweet.
I think you're correct.
And I like that hit that it's got.
That's right.
Most places don't have that. And then if I ever do get away from a barbecue sandwich, it's going to be to get some wings.
That's right.
And it's going to be the Tut Tut sauce.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Now tell everybody what Tut Tut sauce is.
It is a mix of buffalo sauce and honey mustard. It's Justin Blevins, everybody's Tut.
Coach Blevins is Tut.
He's the one that come up with it, and of course he had to have it named
himself,
and that's what he has. That's where that came into existence on that.
Yeah, so. The first time I tried it, and I can't even remember who told me, "Hey, you need to try that sauce." First time I tried, I said, "Yeah, that's the stuff right there. You can't beat it."
Put it on anything.
Yeah, you really could. Y'all should put it on some chicken sandwiches.
Oh yeah, we can do it.
Whatever it takes, And that's one thing, y'all's. Do y'all do all the dressings homemade?
Yes,
there?
We'd make all of our dressings from scratch, from homemade.
And if somebody's never had the ranch dressing at Green Top, I don't know what to tell you about it, because it is the thickest, most.
If you turn the cup over and it runs out, it's not made right.
Right, there's something wrong.
And somebody's about to get fired.
But you can dip anything in it. You can dip. I love dipping the French fries, and y'all have the best fries in the area by far.
Yeah, when we're running the food truck.
Oh man,
we have a frozen fry for it that we use because it's hard to take those on it, and people either usually love or hate them, and it's on the food truck ones, and that's what some people. That I was yelled at more than once about not having my regular.
The first time fries. I got it from the food truck, I had the fries too, just like always, and I said, "Wait a minute, no, these are not Green Top fries." But it was still good, though.
Oh yeah,
for food truck fries.
That's right.
What about talk to us a little bit before we go to a break? We got plenty of time about just the history of Green Top, and for me, it's so weird because growing up around there. I know Green Top from way back in the original building, and that's all you know. and it's really Jefferson County's Green Top, but
That's
somehow Walker County said, no, that's out. We took it a long time
That's
ago.
right. And it's kind of, and that area kind of coexists and commingles with each other. And it's like the door of Summerton. Also, it's just kind of like there's one big area, you know, we're not covered by that. It's always, it was funny being there. It was always on a door, a mailing address.
Right, yeah.
And so now I've moved.
Now you're going to have Summerton mailing
and I'm on a door and mailing address.
Are you really?
It's still in the door and mailing address, but in the city limits of Summerton.
Right.
So it's kind of, you know, it's kind of weird and funny with that. But
so you can't get out of Dora.
I can't get out of Dora still. So we're still there. So, you know, of course, obviously we had, you know, the mayor was in last night eating from Dora still with me. So but the restaurant, it opened in the early 50s. A lady named Edith Carey and Alton Cook. Alton, he owned the pharmacy in Summerton, and I think he was probably the financial backer for Edith.
Okay.
And Edith actually is my great aunt on my mother's side of my family. Obviously, my dad's side of the family was Leo.
Right.
And Susie, but she opened it, and she ran it until the early 70s, and my granddad, he was working in the coal mines, and he would come in and was frequenting the place, and she had mentioned that she wanted to sell it, and she made the deal. Leo made the deal to buy it, and she was going to finance it, and I think she kind of thought that maybe that he would fall, you know, on his face with it, and then wouldn't be able to make it, and she would just have a 6-month, you know, vacation with it. And so he come in, told my grandmother, Susie, that he was going to buy the Green Top. And needless to say, she informed him that was not the right decision, it wasn't at the time, that she wasn't going to finance his drinking habits. Right. So at the time, you know, she was working with Mr. Cook in the pharmacy, and my dad was working in the coal mines, and Preston was working around, and they all kind of came together and started running the Green Top. And, you know, and we, you know, it was basically at that time, you know, Preston was during the days, my dad was working at nights, you know, and Leo and Susie filled in with that, you know, and it was a family effort to run it. And, you know, we came in, when we took it over,
it's all you've really known, too.
That's all basically I've ever done my whole life. You know, I've not, you know, I've never done anything else basically. You know, and I've been, you know, I'm 55. I've been, you know, basically working there since I was, you know, 15. And it's, you know, but when we come into the 70s, when we had it, it basically did not have inside toilets. we built on and added on to the building, you know, 2 and 3 times, you know, during that time. And then we've added on 3 or 4 more times, you know, after the end. And then we put one big roof over it. And that was where, you know, when we had the fire there, that's where that was. So you can't get a true piece on how to put that back together, you know. And I have a lot of people, you know, that to this day, you know, a lot of the older people, you know,
that was their place.
That was their place, you know, and they miss the nostalgia of it. And, you know, we've tried carrying that over into the new place with that. But it was, we evolved the business around. We tried making, you know, we had some changes. There was some tough times and that I was really young at that time, that it was before Jasper went wet. It was the first place basically from Mississippi line that you could buy beer and alcohol. And you would have people come in from Winston County and other areas that would stay 2 and 3 days on the county line, and it was a really rough crowd, you know. And that's, you know, and a lot of times my dad was kind of the enforcer in that he kept, you know, he kept the riffraff and kept the, you know, the crowds controlled on some things, and it was, you know, I'd seen, you know, a few fights in there growing up, you know, and it's, you know, luckily, you know, we changed that when, you know, we evolved more from just a beer joint that sold barbecued to a restaurant that sells.
It happens to sell some alcohol.
Sells some alcohol, you know, and that's what.
Well, I know growing up, and, you know, by the time I'm 48, by the time I was around, it was pretty calm in the Green Top. But you still had that thought process in some people's minds. My in-laws they wouldn't go eat inside the green top.
That's right.
And I didn't understand that because my family had always eaten inside the green top, and I'm sure a lot of mine were still eating there when all hell was breaking loose.
That's right.
You know?
And you know,
we had bootleggers in my family.
You know, and it probably led her to it. But my wife's dad told her, says you can't never go in the green top. And I guess that's what probably pushed her to marry me.
Now she can't leave the green top.
That's right.
But I remember my in-laws, and a lot of people were like this in the 80s. They would order and come around back and pick up the barbecue, but they wouldn't walk inside. So I guess it was okay with the Lord if you just didn't go inside.
That's exactly correct. And you know, and that's the one thing that I probably miss from my old building is the old back door. You know, you know, and that's what, you know, the things with that. You know, and there's a friend of mine on Facebook. You know, he has the Baptist door, he calls it. We actually had a guy walk in to the first week we were open, first day we were open. Yeah, I was in the very back of our store. And the guy walked in and said, "Can I get me a barbecue back here?" I said, "I'm
From
sorry,
the back.
I'm just not set up for that back here." I said, "They got an area around the front door that you can pick up in today."
They were so used to going to the back. That was the only place they were going. That's
right.
Funny. Now, what's some of the wildest stories you heard from back in the day?
Oh gosh!
I mean, has there been a shoot? Has there been a shooting in there?
Oh yeah, there's been plenty of those. There was.
And I'm sure there's some Dora Cordova rivalry stuff that's happened, all that kind of stuff.
There's some major. I know there was one lady that she come in and her husband was with another woman in there and actually had a and she shot him in the leg in there.
Oh wow!
One of the stories my dad told me.
At least she got him in the leg though.
Yeah.
Y'all would have been having a divorce and a funeral right there at the same time.
One of the stories my dad told me that. They'd had a guy come in and said he got shot in the green top. Yeah. And he got shot in the leg. And they called the county out, and the county come and was questioning, and he finally admitted that he was a repo man, and he was practicing his quick draw in the bathroom, and he shot himself.
Oh my goodness.
And there was, you know, and there's, you know, I can remember some, you know, some wild things. The last real big fight that I remember was the guy that the fight started over on the left side, and my dad threw him out. And the guy tried challenging my dad after he got him out the door. Yeah. You know, and my dad, he
and your dad was a big guy. Nobody should have been
tough guy, and he was a pretty tough guy. He was a pretty good fighter, and so he gets him out, and of course I'm probably 12, 13 at the time. And he gets him out the door and tells him to leave, and the guy takes off in the middle of the highway or something, you know, and he's standing there and he's challenging my dad to come out there. And he said, "No, you're out. You need to leave." So my grandmother, she's cooking supper out back. She hears the commotion. Well, she comes in and gets the big stick that we always had behind the bar in their truck. She's getting them in the truck. Of course, she wouldn't back down from anybody either. And she warps it across the front of their truck and tells them where they needed to leave and how quick they needed to get out of there.
And to probably never come back again.
And exactly right. You know, and that's, you know, we've had, you know, I had a couple one time in there I was a little older. I was probably in my 20s, and they were intoxicated, and my dad was asking them to leave. He was being nice. As an older couple, and they were with another gentleman that was a good customer of ours. And the man and the woman, my dad told them, said, "Look, y'all going to have to leave." And I think they were complaining we'd had a price increase. Right. And they got an old menu, and it was over like 15.
Probably, I was going to say,
it was over 15 cents, I think.
20 cents.
They were griping, you know, and he just told them, said, "Look, y'all got to leave." Well, they started yelling at somebody downstairs there was nobody down there. They were yelling at them to leave, and there was nobody there, and they kept on. And then finally, the old man jumped on my dad's back, and she was throwing stuff out of her purse at him before he got him. And then when they got out, the guy that was with him called and says, "I can't believe you beat my friends up." And he did everything in the world but touch them.
That's hilarious. Yeah. And y'all didn't have any fights in the recent location.
No, we did not. We have not. I can't.
We've learned in East Walker County to calm ourselves over the years.
I think so. You know, it's luckily, you know, I've had to ask I hadn't had to ask many people to leave
Right.
from the last place we were at.
Right,
So
yeah.
it was.
Now it's time for all new memories at the new location.
Oh yeah, that's what we're starting those off pretty good.
And talk a little bit about the name Green Top. I mean, did they just luck into that, or
I think it just was because the building had a green top on it.
That's what I figured.
I honestly
Yeah,
believe that's how it came up. And Fisher, I've heard it. It's always was Green Top Hill that we were on.
right.
And
But they named the hill after
I think
y'all.
they named the hill after us. So
Yeah.
I kind of I've never heard exactly on that, but I do believe that's the reasoning behind it.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, it's always been Green Top Hill as far as I.
And the heck we caught on Facebook when I had the picture of the white roof.
Oh,
To
yeah.
start with, that before we painted it, they had to put a primer coat down first
Yeah.
before they could paint it green.
Man,
And
I
that
bet you were catching heck
Oh
over
yeah,
that.
I was.
It's got to have a green top.
No, it has to. That's what.
Now, what being in a place like Green Top that's been known forever, and it's been your place since you were a kid. What's the coolest part about it? Is it getting to know the people? Because I mean, you built so many relationships.
Yeah, it is. It's the customers I see. We get a lot of people. That travels to and from between Jasper and Birmingham. And I've made a lot of friends over the years. And that's what I really enjoy. Seeing them as they come in. And it's, some people say always the employees. It's the hardest part of the business, and sometimes. It's been a struggle the last few years with help, but
Right.
I love all my employees, and it's being back there with them sometimes. Like I've been in the kitchen a lot more the last few weeks than I've been in probably the last 5 years.
Yeah,
and it's it's fun to be back there to work with them to try and send out a quality product, and it's been great.
Yeah,
so far.
Y'all didn't ever think about a move back to Jasper when?
Well, we actually. We actually secured the location on 5 and 195 about a year or so ago.
Yeah.
And that was kind of in the back of our minds that if something did, drastically happen there,
yeah,
that we could go there quick. And we have plans on opening it back.
Yeah.
We're in the process actually of buying that building, and it's going to be, we would open it up, possibly again. And that's. We've done some work on it. We actually thought we were going to open up a little quicker before this, but this deal kind of deal. We wanted to take care of
it. Came
that
together,
area
and you had to get it taken care of. Yeah. Now the Jasper location, y'all had 2 fires there, right?
Yeah, we did. We come up. The first fire, both fires started from the pit.
Yeah.
There, and after the second fire, when we decided we demolished that pit. We finished it was cracked on the inside, and we did not build that pit.
Right.
And when they built it, they had it was cracked, but it actually had home insulation, the roll insulation.
Really?
Inside the pit area.
That seems like a bad idea.
Oh yeah, that wasn't a very good idea. And it didn't have fire brick or anything like that, and that's what caused the problem.
Yeah.
With it, and that's what when we got away from that and.
Yeah.
From that.
Well, how? Tell people a little bit about the barbecue. What's the process?
We have it's a 12 to 14 hour process. Smoking the meat. We cook it every day. For basically what we're going to sell that day, with that, and it's it's gotten to be, we went, we had a traditional wood burning pit. We went to a rotisserie pit.
Right.
It's so much. I could cook a better batch of meat on the old type of pit than I can off of this, but it's just so hard and labor intensive the old way. It's so much more cost effective and sends out a really good product.
Well, I was going to say I can't tell the difference.
No, I can't either.
And now we talked about the sauce earlier. Who came up with the sauce?
I think it was kind of a base recipe, and my granddad kind of expanded on it just a little bit when we took it over. You know, we make it all. Me and basically my son make it, in the store. To do. We're the only two that basically that makes it, or my wife can if she has to.
Now I was going to say, does Leanne have the secret recipe?
Leanne has the secret recipe.
Okay.
After 20 years of marriage, I decided that she could.
I was wondering if you could trust her, if you could trust her enough to give it to her.
No, she's had it longer than that. I tell you, she's really a trooper. I tell you,
I don't see how she married into the Headrick family and the Greentop family. She had to know that was going to be some stress. She's
had a great background. She grew up in a family businesses.
Yeah.
Her dad.
Yeah, I knew he
owned a lot of convenience stores and did a lot of things, and she grew up working in those, and that's where she got, a lot of her work ethic. And she's a lot like my grandmother. She don't back down.
Right.
From anybody, and you don't have to stay around her long to know her opinions on anything.
Right. And Leanne serves on the school board too.
Yes, she does.
For the East Walker district.
I think she's in her second elected term that I think would be her last term with it. I think. Right. But she's
done a great job of helping our schools in that area.
I think she's done a tremendous job. She's helped procure the new Door High School that's going up.
Right.
It's going to be a tremendous asset for our community.
Oh yeah, there's going to be a lot of good things happening there with it opening up. It'll open the first of the next school year, right?
I think they may be in at the middle of the break. I think.
Oh, okay, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, at one time they thought they were having it finished in May, and I went actually about 2 months ago. I went on about 5-6 weeks ago. I went on a tour of the new school, and they thought they would hand us the keys September 22nd. So I think then that then it would take I think they may do some moving, but I think they were hoping to be able to get into it before then. But I think it'll probably be the middle of the break.
Yeah. Let's take a break real quick since we're saying break. It's 9:32. Take a break here on WJLX on Live at 9 with James Phillips, and we'll be right back after we hear from our sponsors here this morning on WJLX.
Young Jewelers. That name has been a part of Jasper for a long, long time. As a matter of fact, for 3 generations and over 70 years, Young Jewelers has been located in downtown Jasper, striving to earn your loyalty with quality and customer service. Young Jewelers has set the standard in diamonds, jewelry, and gifts. You can afford to have a diamond from Young Jewelers. Our friendly staff can assure you of that. And you're always greeted with a smile and a genuine concern for your needs. Whether it's custom design work or diamonds from one of the name brand vendors, a consultation at Young Jewelers will have you feeling confident you've made the right choice. Young Jewelers, located across from City Hall on 19th Street and online at youngjewelers.com.
Start your story at Bevel State Community College. Whether you need seamless academic transfer classes, high-wage, high-demand career technical or health science programs, rapid training opportunities that get you into the workforce quickly, dual enrollment or adult education courses, Bevel State is your community college for a quality education. Visit bscc.edu to learn about our convenient and affordable options to make your future visible. Your story starts at Bevel State.
Carl Cannon, Chevy, Buick, GMC, Cadillac, Corridor X, and Jasper. We're more than just a new car dealer. We're a certified pre-owned dealer, too. As a used car dealer in Jasper, we have access to a wide variety of used cars from across the area. As a new Buick, Chevy, Cadillac, and GMC dealer, we have the latest models that GM provides from 4 amazing brands. Let us show you around our dealership. With so many options, we're sure you'll find what you're looking for. Browse our inventory online at carlcannon.com. When other dealers can't, Cannon can. Carl Cannon, Corridor X at Industrial Boulevard in Jasper.
Hi guys, I'm Dr. Martin Roberts, owner of Jasper Veterinary Clinic. 3 years ago when I set out to open my own clinic, Pinnacle was my bank of choice to help that dream become a reality. Recently when we needed to expand and had the opportunity to acquire property adjoining to ours, I made one call to Wayne and he set those wheels in motion. If you have banking needs, give Pinnacle a call.
Hello everyone, I'm Drake McKenzie from All South Land and Timber. We've been banking with Pinnacle Bank for over 25 years. The customer service at Pinnacle Bank is first class. We highly recommend banking with Pinnacle Bank for all of your financial needs.
I'm Robin Reed Allen, Chairman of the Board of Pinnacle Bank. Come see our team and make Pinnacle Bank your bank too.
Pinnacle Bank, member FDIC.
If you're craving great food in a place that feels just right, it's time to head to Jake's on 4th in downtown Jasper. From stacked made-to-order burgers to hearty favorites fresh off the grill, every dish at Jake's is cooked with care and full of flavor. It's comfortable, relaxed, and always welcoming. Whether you're meeting friends, enjoying a casual dinner, or just want a laid-back spot with great atmosphere, Jake's on 4th delivers every time. Located at 1810 4th Avenue South of downtown Jasper, Jake's is open Wednesday through Saturday with lunch from 11 to 3:30 and dinner 5 to close. Jake's has great food, an easygoing vibe, and it's a place you'll want to come back to. Jake's on 4th, fine dining done the Walker County way.
Hey, this is Nick Norris from The Game Managers. Every Friday afternoon at 6 on WJLX, Patrick Hanna and I break down the news of the week in sports. From local high school games to the biggest moments in college and the pros. No hot takes for clicks, just sports news, real analysis, and the conversations you actually want to hear. If you like sports as much as us, then make The Game Managers part of your Friday nights. We'll see you there.
The sound of Walker County on 101.5 is WDXB HD3 Pelham, W286BM Jasper, an iHeart radio station. Listen on the free iHeart radio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts. Free never sounded so good.
You're listening to Live at 9 with James Phillips, presented by Young Jewelers on WJLX.
And we're back on Live at 9. I want to thank Young Jewelers and also Jake's on 4th as being our title sponsors here, and thank all of our other sponsors that you heard during the break there. Today, go out to Jake's on 4th. He's open. It's a Wednesday, and I guarantee you he's got that bologna sandwich that's got pimento cheese on it. It's outstanding. Go check it out, and then also go by Young's and get all your needs here for Easter. I'm sure there's some bling that your wife needs or a daughter needs. Go by and get something from Young's leading up to Easter this week. And if you're not in Jasper, if you're in East Walker County, it's time to go to Green Top. And that's why we got Tony Headrick here to talk to us a little bit about Green Top and how they're doing in the new location. And you know, one thing that people don't realize about Green Top, me and you were sitting here talking about Dora football, and they don't know how much Green Top does for the East Walker community. And you can pat yourself on the back a little bit, but I'm patting you on the back because, I mean, whether it's something with the school, something with an athletic program, if somebody in your family dies, you probably gonna end up with some free Green Top if you're from that area. Like it just that's how you guys have always been.
Yeah, that's something, we talked briefly about the history, but, I learned a lot about the business from my grandparents, my dad, and my uncle. And, Preston was a big, influence in my life, and that's something I saw him with, with the passion, with the things that he did. He did a lot of those things. They were on, most of the coaching search committee at Dora. Him and my dad both, they were very passionate about Dora and about sports in general, and all the other schools, in the area like that. And, I was taught, and I was trying to help out, where I can on things, and that's what, and just try to continue that legacy.
Yeah. And to me, when you're having a bad day, there's nothing better than some Green Top barbecue to brighten it a little bit, no matter how bad the day was.
I had one that had contacted me over the weekend about a funeral, about helping with some food, and I had to tell her this. So maybe the only time in my life that I had to tell somebody no on something like that, and
right.
We were so busy, and she was wanting something special.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't. I couldn't
get
away
if
to
you
get
can't get it. You can't.
I couldn't get it that day, and that was and I felt really bad, about that because it was for a special, person for good old dear customer of ours. And that was.
Well, that's the thing we were talking about before we went to break is how much y'all have gotten to know your customers. I mean, if you've been in business as long as y'all have, it's like family when they come in.
It is, and that's that's what I'm trying to treat them like. When they come in, and it's sometimes it's a struggle, and sometimes it was great.
Yeah.
The great days outweigh it though.
Oh, exactly. Now talk a little bit more about the new location and what people can expect in the future. I mean, that's such a big spot, and I know when Lee's had it, they would do karaoke, and I mean, there was all kind of something going on, you know, or concerts and that sort of thing.
You know, even before Doug had it, when it was, I think it was probably when Paul
When
had
it was
it,
Paul's,
or whoever at the time. When I was in high school, you know, I remember us, you know, going in as a, you know, football player. They would load us up on a bus during 2 a days or 3 a days or probably 5 a days.
I was going to say y'all had a lot of days back then.
Probably, but we would go eat breakfast there, you know, and we're going to try and go, you know, right now we've concentrated on the dining room, the kitchen, and the bathrooms, on remodeling them, and then we've still got another 2,500 square foot of the building that we've not upgraded yet, but we plan on trying to work on that, you know, hopefully this summer to get it remodeled on and to get it ready. And we're going to have a banquet room, you know, that we'll be able to do, you know, reunions, family get-togethers. You know, we've had some of the people that reach out, you know, about doing the karaoke like he had done.
Right.
You know, and I can't sing.
I was going to say, will you be singing that?
I cannot sing.
Because I'll show up with a video camera if you are.
I am the world's worst singer. I get that spot on American Idol where they always show the worst singers.
Right,
That would where
you'd be on that one.
I wouldn't even qualify for that. I'm so bad.
It sounds to me like we might have to get a few.
I'd have to have a few.
To get you to sing a little bit.
Yes, it's. But you know, if we did something, it would be, you know, possibly do something like that, or possibly, you know, to add like some other things. I've had someone reach out about like a. I think the band had reached out about possibly doing like a bingo.
Oh yeah.
Night to you know, to raise money, to raise funds, and some things, you know, just to use it for. I know the wrestling program at Dora is hosting a political.
Oh yeah,
March,
forum.
May 4th, excuse me, and that's a Monday night, and we're not open now on Sundays and Mondays.
Right.
But we're gonna be open that Monday night. That we're gonna have, you know, we're gonna host that for them, for all the candidates to be able to come out to speak.
Yeah, I know the last time they did that, they got a ton of people out there.
That they had all the city elections.
Yeah, went for the city election
You
last
had the
year.
Summerton and Dora city elections, and then you had all the county, the people in. So I don't think there's as many people.
Not as many, because this time they'll
county.
probably just have the sheriff's office and
probably the school board.
School
superintendent race.
Yeah.
I know. And then I think you may get the coroner's
maybe
race.
the coroner. That's
And
about the only ones that are really.
I don't know if I think they've reached out possibly to some of the, you know, the state level candidates, but to get them out like that would be.
Maybe y'all can get Tuberville to show up.
Oh yeah, maybe. I know he was at one meeting that I saw before for the.
If somebody tells him Green Top Barbecue, I bet he'll show up.
I think he will, especially with us being an Auburn fan.
Right? That's the only thing that I overlook about y'all is being an Auburn fan.
Somebody, my granddad, he was always the one that played it down the middle, and he always had. You know, people never realized that he actually was an Auburn fan.
Oh yeah.
And you know, because we've always got as much Alabama as we do Auburn in the business, so it's kind of, you know, he played along with them that I can't. I have some of my best friends are Alabama fans.
Right.
But if you can't have both sides and have fun with it, it's not worth having. So I can't. I had one try to get me to say those R and T words. Or whatever.
Yeah, you can't say that.
I told him, I said, but I can't say that. I said, in this day and age with all these video cameras, I said, I never would live that down.
No, that'd be on forever.
I see it.
I won't say the W-E word either.
That's right.
And especially the way y'all like to cuss in the middle of it sometimes.
Little word.
But I do the Alabama cuss words that are even worse.
Yeah, that's right.
It just don't seem as bad.
That's right.
So, anything else going on that folks need to know about, whether it's Green Top or just over in East Walker County?
I think, you know, like we'd mentioned, you know, there's a lot of positive changes. You know, I think with things with, you know, that's going on there, I think, you know, with the expansion.
Yeah, I want to get Mayor Combs on sometime to talk about the loves and everything going on at the shopping center.
Yeah, they're pretty close to getting to being open down there also. And I think that you got a couple of new subdivisions that may be going in Dora, and you got some areas, you know, there's a lot of positive things I think that's going on. And I think, you know, that I think we're part of that.
Yeah.
And,
oh yeah.
You know, just happy to be, you know, in that, you know, in this community like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the one day that, before y'all opened the new spot, I was at Bevel calling a game, and I came and got stuff from the food truck, and the girl working at the food truck, she was a former Bevel player. She was sitting there listening to our broadcast
That's right.
as we picked it up. So
yeah, she listens to a lot of those. She has fun with that.
Oh yeah. But it was fun that she was sitting there listening to it, and she said, "You're James, aren't you?" And I said, "Yep." She said, "It's working. It's working." I said, "Okay, we'll have it in a minute."
That's right. Yeah, that's it's funny the correlation from that. That was when Coach Adderholt is at Summit Christian. That's how she got her start. In the area. She was coaching part time at Bevel. And an assistant softball coach at a junior college.
Yeah,
that
they're not getting paid more than free food sometimes.
But she worked with me when she was in that area. We've had a strong friendship.
Yeah.
During that time, and and she's done a tremendous job at Summit Christian with it. But she's that's how she got her start. In this area.
I can't wait to see. I mean, there like you said a minute ago. There's so many positive things happening in East Walker between new businesses coming in, new homes coming in, the brand new school coming up. I mean, there's a lot to be thankful about going on in East Walker County, and Green Top expanding. That's the best news I've ever heard, probably.
Yes, and I tell you something else too. There's a lot of great local businesses in our area. Some little places. We've since we've been next door to Thrasher Brothers.
Yeah.
They have been tremendous neighbors. With us. Across the street, Broadhead Equipment. I give shameless plugs for these.
Oh
people.
yeah, definitely. My brother works a lot with those guys.
And
his plumbing
and a lot of the boutiques and little other businesses in there. It's just it's just been.
Well, even looking at like
at
Country Village.
Yeah.
It's. I wouldn't say it's thriving like it was in the 80s, but it's pretty close to what it was in those days.
It's got a lot of great areas in it.
That Frosting's bakery over there, it's hard for me to drive by without having some sort of coma.
Me and Crystal we're really good friends, and that's and I've spoke with her, about when we get our banquet area and our things like that I can cook a lot of things, and I make a mean banana pudding.
Right.
But I cannot make a cake.
You're not a baker.
I'm not the best baker in the world. And we talked to her about partnering, possibly in the future with her, with selling, with some of the things that she does with some of our catering and things like that. Because when I go on the food truck, I see her a lot of the places that I go with hers. And then I got some other friends from Jefferson County where I'm in those areas that I've made. I've got friends and relationships with those food trucks, so we're kind of
now is the banana pudding an old family recipe?
It was not an old family recipe. It's one I came up with. We had somebody order it one time and asked if I could do it, and I said, "Well, I guess I can fix anything." And
right.
The only time that ever bit me was a friend of mine asked me if I knew of anybody that could do candied apples for somebody for a wedding.
And did you give that a try?
I gave that a try, and that was the worst failure. I had to just that's my biggest fear in doing a wedding is messing this up for a wedding.
Yeah.
Their food, and that the candied apples were
didn't turn out well?
No, they were terrible.
Well, if anybody needs a candied apple in the East Walker area, I'll tell you the lady to go to is Hot Rod Williams' wife.
Oh yeah. That's
Erica.
right.
She can make some candied apples.
I got you.
She's the best one to go to. So
it actually may have been caramel apples.
Oh, caramel apple.
It would be either way. Same premises.
Well, I love the banana pudding. I don't know what all you threw in there for the recipe, but y'all have the best banana pudding around for sure. It's sweet.
Yes, that's what you got to have.
Some people don't make it sweet.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Well, Tony, I appreciate you coming by today and telling folks about how things are going at Green Top and anything we can do to help spread the word. We're happy to do that, and you're always happy to help us when we need something. So I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Are the dogs going to be better this year?
I think we've had some changes at the top, and I think it's. I think this year they're moving to that new region. I think you may not be able to judge this team on the wins and losses as much as I think you'll see some improvement as the year goes on.
Right.
I hate to get to my Nick Saban project.
Right. Yeah, it's all part of the process.
But I think they have a lot of skilled people coming up into the younger grades. Yeah. And I think that they got a foundation to build from this that'll just make this transition a little bit better.
I like though that you're an Auburn fan, but you still know who the best coach is.
You can't argue with that.
You can't argue with success.
I don't think I think sitting around with Nick Saban, I don't know if he would be the most interesting person to sit around just to have a conversation with.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to win if I had a 6'6", 300-pound athlete, I think that's who I want. And I'd have a great conversation with him. And I think he knew what it took to win, and did a tremendous.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's
just a great person.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, Tony, thanks for coming by today. Hey, everybody, thanks for tuning in today. Tomorrow we'll have Mike Putman on from Jasper Main Street. He's going to be talking about the new Welcome Center that they've opened downtown. It's a really cool place. Got some interactive things that people can find out about Jasper. A really cool coloring book that they're giving out to kids there with the Tallulah the dog. Traveling around Jasper and teaches you some different places. So that's a really cool thing. They had their grand opening yesterday, and Mike will be in tomorrow to talk. And then on Friday, I've got Susie Odom lined up. She just retired as the circuit clerk after a long career, and just wanted to get her in to kind of talk about what that place looked like when she got there, what it looked like when she left, and some of her fondest memories of being circuit clerk. So we'll have them on. Until tomorrow, be kind and love, and we'll see you tomorrow on Live at 9 with James Phillips on WJLX.